Hello there, friends of Maine's breweries, wineries, and distilleries, and all of the people and other businesses that make this industry amazing. Welcome to another virtual tour presented by the Maine Brew Bus. We've got a really special one today, and before we tell you about that, my name is Don Littlefield. I am the general manager of the Maine Brew Bus, and I'll be your guide today, assisting behind the scenes, helping to produce this episode is Greg Klein. He's at his home studio in Freeport, and he'll be collecting all of your comments and questions so that we can pose them to Todd and Galen when we have them on the broadcast. This is episode 16 of our virtual tours. Now, every single one is available on our website for review, for YouTube binge watching. There's a whole playlist set up. You can even download these as podcasts as well. And we encourage you to spend some time to learn about what's going on with Maine's breweries. We have opened this up to other industries as well. Wineries, distilleries, distributors, craft-focused restaurants and bars, farms that are impacted by this. Anybody that really has, had suffering a little bit as a result of these changes with the current crisis going on. So we do hope to have more of these. I know they've been a little sparse this week, but I think everybody's been really getting into the groove of what this current normal is for operations. So that's what's happening. So look for more over the weekend and for next week. And if you're the owner of a Maine business in the kind that I just mentioned, we'd love to talk to you. So you can go to our website, themainbrewbus.com/virtual-tours, or just click on virtual tours at the top of our homepage, and you'll see that we have a tour tour booking request, but in this case it's to request your preferred time and date so we can chat. So people like Maddie from Nosh, Arcadia National Bar, who have joined this broadcast, you're the type of people we're talking to. So we'd love to schedule a time over the coming days to chat with you about the impacts and what you're doing to react to this. So visit our website, visit the virtual tours page, and at the bottom there's a request form where you can say, hey, the best time for me is next Tuesday at 3, and chances are we'll be able to accommodate you. Before we introduce our featured guests on the tour today, I want to take a few moments and thank a couple of folks who have made these possible. So first of all, I mentioned Greg Klein. Greg, who's producing today, is also the person who makes these sound good as podcasts. I encourage you to check those out because they sound very professional with nice music, a voiceover, intro, and also an outro as well. So thanks to Greg. And as I mentioned, Greg will be collecting your comments and questions. He'll send them to me separately so that I can see things like Brewmaster Michael has joined from Brewery Extrava. Kathy Fura from New Hampshire has joined. William Culp, we want to say hi to you as well. And so that's a really great part of what's happening there. Then the second thing I want to mention is CarHop, carhopme.com. This is a locally owned and operated company that delivers alcohol of all kinds to your door, but most notably they've partnered with a lot of local breweries, distilleries, and wineries as well. So I just counted, there's nearly 40 different places that you can order alcohol from. Now, some of those are retail stores, such as RSVP, Bow Street, Portland Beer Hub, Grippy Tannins, Old Port Spirits, Old Port Wine, the Beer Cellar, but many others are producers themselves. So you can get those products delivered direct to your home in a schedule and time that makes sense for you. And they've just added one of our favorites, which is Honeymaker, the folks that produce Maine Meadworks products, and they've just been added to the list. Also, I know CarHop has been expanding their delivery area as well. So even if they're not quite delivering to your town in Maine, they might be very shortly. You should check them out at CarHopMe for Maine, carhopme.com. And if you choose to make an order, use promo code BrewBus to save 50% off of the delivery fees, which are already pretty low. So it's a great way to get beer delivered to your home at a time that makes sense for you. Let's see, Brew York, my new friend. So this is fun. I just met him in Canada, as a matter of fact, and we realized that we've been following each other on social media for quite a while. And he says that he can't wait to rebook his next trip to Maine. Well, we can't wait to have you back here in Maine. We look forward to that time. Brew York, as I mentioned, is social media and website. They've been covering New York City's beer scene since 2008, so that's 12 years. That's back when there were very few breweries in the country, certainly not the over 8,000 that we have now. You'll see pictures of beers, bars, and breweries in New York City and beyond, and they definitely will travel for beer. As I mentioned, we met in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, which is pretty far away from New York, as a matter of fact. So check them out. That's Brew York. So if you are enjoying these broadcasts and these YouTube videos and these podcasts, you can help us, support us by going to our website and throwing a tip in the virtual tip bucket. So it doesn't have to be much, but a little bit goes a long way. And it helps keep our spirits up, and it also helps us to know that you are supportive of what we're doing here by bringing you tours and comments and interviews from Maine's industry leaders, and you can do that from the comfort of your own home. So again, that's themainbrewbus.com. You'll see the only tours we're offering currently are virtual tours, and on the virtual tours page is a section where you can throw a tip in the tip bucket. Doesn't have to be much. It's never expected. It's always appreciated, and we will match any gratuity that is put in there. That is $100. We'll match that with a gift card, which never expires. Which brings me to another point. Gift cards are another great way to support us. We are constantly selling gift cards throughout the year. We do very well with those. If you know that you'd like to take a tour when the time is right, all you have to do is to purchase a gift card, because in Maine they never expire, which is great. So you can go ahead and you can purchase a gift card. You can keep it for yourself. You can pass it on to somebody who might be coming to Maine. Or, if you just want to support us and give it away, you could give that to an essential worker, a healthcare worker, or a first responder. That would be great. Our special guest today are a husband and wife couple that are the proprietors, the owners and operators and brewers of Tributary Brewing. That is a company that was founded in 2014. It's in Kittery, Maine. It was the first brewery to locate in Kittery, at least in the modern era that we know of. And we'll be talking with Todd and Galen Mott, who will be joining us here shortly. In this time period, we'll be asking a few questions about their background, questions about what they're doing with the current situation, how they're adapting. And we'll be talking about what the plans will be for Mott the Lesser, which is a release that was scheduled for next Saturday. That's not going to be happening next Saturday, so we'll find out what they know about the plans to get the very popular beer out to the public. And then we'll also find out what has been happening behind the scenes there. I know that they've been active. I know that it's taken us a couple of weeks to get them scheduled because of brewing and packaging. So I know that they are making beer and getting beer out there, and I can't wait to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah?
Oh, there it is.
Am I there?
You're there. It worked.
Good Lord. You know me and technology just are not hands in hand. I should probably put this on, huh?
No, you're safe. You're safe with us. You're safe with us.
Okay.
We're good. We've got you now, and we're happy to have you. So while you're getting situated, I'll give you a little bit of an intro here. So this is Todd Mott, who I mentioned is, along with his wife Galen, they're the co-founders of Tributary Brewing Company. Many people regard Todd as a legend in the New England brewing scene, that his beers have had a significant impact. And if you don't know that backstory, we'll hit some of the highlights here now. As soon as we find out, Todd, what's in your glass?
Well, right now I'm drinking some pale ale. Just boring old Tributary Pale. Yesterday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we bottled what I'm about to pop open.
Amazing.
I'm just cleansing my palate.
You're just getting ready. You're just getting ready.
I do want to preface that we are trying to figure out how we're going to get rid of the 2,200 bottles that we filled. Normally we would do 1,500 bottles. We did 2,200 because who knows if the draft is ever going to be available. Well,
that's a good point.
We are trying to figure out how we can sell. We'll limit it 2 bottles per person, and we will eventually try and sell it right on our webpage. And for locals, we can deliver to you. And if you are not so close, we will hold the bottles for up to a year. Again, we still haven't worked out the details, but we want people to get it. And the
That's
whole
amazing.
reasoning behind doing the extra 600 bottles was because we just figured, hey, not anybody's going to be drinking. Hey, G?
That's a good point. And we'll tell you a little bit of what's in that bottle in a second, but let me just cover what I'm enjoying. So I'm enjoying, I wasn't able to get your beer today in Portland, but that's okay. But this is called Waypoint. This is from our friends at Rising Tide. So this is a coffee porter. Yeah, so
nice.
yeah, I have a meeting after this. I didn't want to get into my Russian Imperial Stouts, but
wait, yeah.
You go right ahead. That'd be fine.
That'll be a little later. I'm going to throw one there.
Nice.
One here for Galen. And actually, Ian is here working with us. He kegged off the remainder of the Mott today and cleaned and sanitized our bright tank for us to transfer our next brew, which we will be canning on Thursday. It is Shelter in Place.
Hey, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Oh,
cheers.
Cheers. There we go. There's Ian.
Cheers.
And hey,
yeah, I love
here,
it.
Honey. Come in.
Galen?
There's
Hello.
Galen. Cheers,
Cheers.
everybody. Ooh,
I wish it was Mott the Lesser.
There. Ooh, yum.
Is it nice?
So we've been tasting a little bit of it here and there, and I let this come to room temperature. So it's really coming forth now. We exchanged the apple brandy barrel for a cherry brandy, and everyone thinks, oh, cherry lifesaver? Not quite.
Not quite.
The oak and the fruit is playing so remarkably well with the Madeira barrel and the port barrel. And then we took the Jamaican rum barrel out and put in a rye whiskey barrel that had apple staves in it. Oh my God, it's a fruit bomb. And it's upwards of 11%, we're pretty sure. And it's like velvet. It tastes like velvet here.
I love it. Well, there's been a long way to get from where you're at now. You had to travel a long way to get to enjoying that beer, which is called Mott the Lesser. So for folks that don't know your backstory, if you can hit some of the highlights, I know it's extensive.
Okay. So I did start in Boston home brewing, a long time ago, back in 1990. I quickly transferred that knowledge. I got my master's in ceramics, so it's process. It's understanding your ingredients, it's recipe formulation, time and temperature, it's chemistry, microbiology a little bit, and then a little bit of magic is involved in all aspects of art. I'm convinced. It is art and science at its finest. And so transitioning from beer or from ceramics to beer was pretty simple for me. And then I just did the legwork. And I worked at Harpoon. I did my internship at Catamount. I worked at Harpoon. I left Harpoon to go to Back Bay Brewing Company brew pub instead of production facility because I wanted, constant feedback. And being in a brew pub, that's what you get. And you get people telling you, oh, love your beer or I hate your beer. And so it's, right in your face, which is really
direct,
cool,
yeah.
because it's as direct as it gets. But so we just been working that whole brew pub scene. Went from from Commonwealth to Back Bay. And then Back Bay decided the brew pub thing was over in 2000. I started Quincy Ships with Dale Malone. We sank pretty quickly. I did win a gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival in the October of 2001, I think it was. And then from Back Bay Brewing Company, I went to the Tap. Quincy Ships, I went to the Tap. Then in Haverhill. And then from there to Portsmouth Brewery. And Portsmouth Brewery was really where Kate the Great, which was my Russian Imperial Stout recipe, got its claim to fame. The guys, the Beer Advocates, ranked it as the #1 beer in America in 2003. And from then on, it's just been this tremendous little ride. People have been really loving the beer, and each rendition we do is a little bit different here at Trib. At Portsmouth Brewery, we had very limited space. We had one horizontal tank that we could put 15 barrels Kate the Great into. And then we had a 10-gallon stainless steel Cornelius can that we would take oak staves, put in there, add 2 bottles of port, ramp the pressure up, push the port into the oak staves, and then put the beer on top of it for 48 days. Then we would push that all back into the 15 barrels of beer. So you think about, high concentration of port to oak, and then going into the 15 barrels. So it gave it this beautiful little nuance, but it wasn't over the top. And what I really loved about that was it was the nuance. And when we started brewing Mott the Lesser here, Peter wouldn't let me take the name, and I totally understand that. He had promoted Kate the Great. Kate the Great became this wonderful, highly sought after beer. It was one of the first beers people actually got in line for. And
they actually had to compete in a lottery to get in line as well at the height of it. They had to basically
the whole reasoning behind that lottery was, hey, we didn't limit the amount of beers people had. And so if you got yourself in that door, you parked yourself and you ate and drank all day long until that beer was gone. And it was crazy. We did half in 22-ounce bombers and then half as draft. And so many people would just literally park themselves. And the line would be tremendous. I mean, it was an incredible line, but it just wouldn't move. And finally, we figured out, okay, we have to limit them to 2 beers, and we have to limit them to however many beers they can get with the lottery ticket, and that worked really well. So we thought about that idea, but then we thought about, well, what would happen if we just limited the time people can be at Trib and the beers that they can have? So let's offer them 2 drafts of Mott, 1 draft of their choice, and then 2 bottles to go. And that would limit the time and move the line. We have had 0. I think maybe 2 people were pissed because they lived in California and they couldn't be here to get their bottles. So now, the option is, if we put it online, sell it online, you can get your butt from California. You don't have to be there that day, because we're not going to have a Mott the Lesser Day this spring.
Right.
We're hoping this fall we will, and we will definitely release drafts of it as soon as we feel safe enough that this coronavirus thing has passed, and we can actually intermingle in confined spaces. And it's not a confined space. We're limited to 80 people in Trib, and so we're gonna work the best we can to get it out to people, and then they can have draft of it as well.
And that's good news for all of us. A couple of points there is that this they'll work that out. So don't inundate them yet. The original release date was supposed to be a week from tomorrow, the 18th. Yeah. It's not happening on the 18th. But there's more in bottles than ever before, and hearing the fact that you can reserve pay and have it held is a very, very kind gesture, because it could be they could come later on this year.
Absolutely, and we just want to be able to get it out. It's one of our. I'm not going to lie, it's one of our best days of the year.
Somebody from your team is telling. Somebody from our team is saying, no, actually, the staff is going to keep all of it, and everybody gets to watch us get drunk. Yeah.
Oh, and then we'll give it to our staff, and they can sell it to augment their income. So we did.
That's a good idea.
Unfortunately, we let everyone go that works our tap room. Woody and Ian and myself are still working the brewery. We're putting beer into cans, and in fact, so our newest beer that we're going to be putting into cans is Shelter in Place Ale, Shelter IPA, and that will come out Thursday. It's a wheat IPA using a hop from Germany called Callista, which is one of these hops that the Germans are working on that can combat climate change. So we're kind of hoping that it's going to take the place of, I think it's Perla. And it's a beautiful, beautiful hop. It has really, really lovely fruit character to it, and it just smells great in the box. It definitely adds a spiciness the way Pearl does, but it's got a little more fruity character, and so it's a really fun hop. And it's called
All right, so
Callista.
Callista, I like that. So we've got to get to the story of Tributary, but before we do that, I want to hit a couple of other highlights in your backstory, and I'm also going to introduce a trivia question. So the trivia question is not for you, Todd. Trivia question is for everybody else. So what I need you to do is to tell the story of the development of Harpoon IPA without naming the beer that influenced you, because I know the answer to that question. That'll be the trivia question today.
We were sailing on a ship.
Yes.
So, I was charged with going and getting beer for our little sailing sojourn up off of Vinyl Haven. And I was working at Harpoon at the time. My first attempt at a seasonal beer failed miserably. We made a stout, an American-style stout with a ton of Cascade hops. It was delicious. It was my clone of Sierra Nevada stout. And but Harpoon is in South Boston. And you know what happens in South Boston? People drink Guinness and Beamish and Murphy's, and you give them anything other than that, they're not going to drink it. So we literally could not give that beer away. And so the next season, the powers that be, Rich, and the marketing team said, let's brew something different. Let's brew, something really approachable. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to make an IPA here. And so I designed an IPA, brewed it, and I was drinking this IPA on this little cruise that Galen and I and a couple other people were on. And I popped the first crown off, and took a sip and was like, whoa, what the hell is that? And the hops. I was brewing Harpoon, like Harpoon Ale at the time, which was just super balanced. And there were not a lot of hops in there. And it was Cascade, and it was Cluster. So Cluster bittering, Cascade finishing. And it was really well balanced. I think there was Crystal 60 in it, and it was just balanced. But there was none of that hop love. And I popped this beer, and I was like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
It's okay. You can swear.
Okay. I didn't mean to. I tried not to.
It's okay.
And it was the most beautiful hop bouquet I had ever tasted. It was like, this like, smells like the taste of weed. What is with that? And sure enough, it was an IPA. And what IPA was it? What IPAs was available in 1990? The summer 1990.
Of 1990, a particular brand of IPA influenced Tod Mott, and it caused him to create a recipe that later became Harpoon IPA. If you know the answer to that or have a guess, put that in the comments. I've already told Greg, who's watching behind the scenes, I've already told him the answer that I believe it is, and we'll award a prize if you get this right. If it's not answered by the end of this broadcast,
Mott the Lesser. How about that?
Ooh, that's a prize right there. And we'll also send you a gift from the Brew Bus. We're talking with Tod Mott from Tributary Brewing Company in Kittery, Maine. My name is Don Littlefield. This is a virtual tour from the Maine Brew Bus. So, no, not Longhammer is not correct.
No, that was a long time before that.
Here's a trivia question for you, Todd. Do you remember when you and I first met?
No.
Cool. I was running a restaurant in Portsmouth, New Hampshire called Au Naturals. It happened to be 110 steps away from the bar at Portsmouth Brewing Company. We got a Yankee Brew News that told me of your arrival at Portsmouth Brewing Company, and it told me a little bit about your backstory, which I had read before in Yankee Brew News. So I went over the 110 steps, got myself at the bar, and found that you were on the other end of the bar. And I introduced myself, saying, "Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I read a little bit about you, and I'm really excited." So that was 2003, 2004.
That's when I got on board in 2003. I signed on in November. December, we went out to visit my brother out in Ridgeway, Colorado. We were skiing at Telluride. And the one thing Peter said to me, be careful. What did I do? I blew my knee out. first month I was working for Portsmouth Brewery, I blew my knee out and rehabbed, and I had to walk the spiral staircase with a cane. It was rather interesting, but I did it. Don't
tell OSHA. Don't tell OSHA.
Yeah, really. Anyway,
those were fun times. Those for sure were fun times.
No, but that is a great guess. Somebody put up Rubicon.
Yeah,
which was, oh my God, those were old school people.
Yes. I also wanted to just kind of set the stage, because you've told the story for our Brew Bus guests about when you were trying to scale up the original Harpoon IPA recipe, that you couldn't get the malts toasted properly, and so you sent malts home with staffers. Tell that story if you don't mind.
All right, so this was really cool. Harpoon at that time, we were doing about 6,000 barrels a year, okay? So we were microscopic. We were a microbrewery. And so for, I think, a 40-barrel batch, we needed 60 pounds of what I wanted to do toasted malt. We had 10 employees. I gave everybody 12 pounds to take home and toast in their oven. And I took the rest, the toaster oven. Well, some people were doing it in toaster. I think some people were doing it on a grill, because we got malt it was pale malt started, and when it came back, we had all incantations of malt. It was black. It was scorched. It was perfect. Some smelled like an omelet. It was incredible. But an omelet? Really? Yeah, toasting malt. You should try toasting pale malt at home. The aromatics off of it sometimes smells like a really good omelet. Depends on your omelet, but I've always loved that smell. So
that's great.
So we would get the 200 pounds back, and half of it would be black and half of it would be light. And it was like, okay, well, it's a mishmash. What the hell? And we put it in. Harpoon IPA at that time was really handcrafted. We were dry hopping it. Another cool story at Harpoon was we had these 40-barrel conditioning tanks with the manway, and we would put, I think it was 5 or 8 pounds in 40 barrels of whole leaf Cascade hops. At the time, that was crazy talk. But now people are stuffing 6 pounds per barrel, let alone a quarter of a pound per barrel. And we put them into pantyhose.
We got a pick up for Joel.
Pick up for Joel. So,
perfect.
Coming around. But anyway, so we'd stuff the pantyhose, put them into the maturation tank, and then purge the tank, transfer the beer into the tank, and then once the beer was matured, then we moved it out of the tank. And as we would move it out of the tank, once we got below the manway, we'd open the manway door, and there would be these legs in the tank with the feet facing up. It was the funniest goddamn thing. Like another dead body in the...
It's another one down.
Actually, it was a conditioning tank. But it was pretty funny.
So funny. All right, so all of these legendary things, all these stops along the way. Liberty's not bad. We've also seen Geary's IPA, which is not correct.
East Coast.
Matty Nosh said Anchor IPA, which is not correct. So,
but
so let's pretty close. So let's get to the. Not yet. Let's get to the formation of Tributary. At some point, you decided you needed to step away from Portsmouth Brewery, and you wanted to stop making money for other people, and you wanted to make money for yourselves. Now that's simplistic, of course, but
that was my business partner, who happens to be my wife. Was like, Guy, you're burning out.
She's smart. She's smart.
You need to either do this for ourselves, or just get out of the business and go work at Walmart's or something. And so I was like, okay, I'm on board. Let's do this for ourselves. And from the time we signed our lease until the time we opened our door, I think I lost about 30 pounds. I stressed. I got very little sleep because, we're stepping out on our own. And sure enough, what happened? You need another one? Yeah, why not? Or no. I'll have a tamale. Ian's trying to get me drunk.
I can tell.
So, take me to the next level. But anyway.
2 hours later, you'll still be talking.
He's asking for a raise now. Yeah. So, when as soon as we opened the doors, I realized we made the right decision, and it was really Galen who said, "You know what? We got to do this on our own, because if you don't try it, if you don't take that risk, you'll never know, and you'll never know if you don't know." And sure enough, we look at that.
Beautiful.
That's the next best thing to this. This is our Tmave Lejek. It's our Czech dark lager inspired. Ooh, double clink.
Good sound. Good audio. That's perfect.
Anyway,
so you just blend them in your mouth? What did you just do there?
I combined both. I did a little swirl, and down it went. So I thinned out the Mott the Lesser a little bit with the Tmave. But Galen and I went to Prague in November, as well as Bamberg, Germany. And the Czech Republic has one of the oldest continuously operating brew pubs in the world, called U Fleku. And I remember reading about it from Michael Jackson saying, if there's one place you got to go to U Fleku, because it's so cool. All they make is one beer. One beer, and that's it. If you don't like dark Czech lagers, don't go. Well, we went, and Jesus, the beer is really, really good. I designed this recipe. However, we made a light version of it. It's only 3.8% by volume.
Wow.
Awesome. Really, really easy to drink. But we're going to make the original style Ufleku, or actually, I think Kozel makes the Velkopopovici, which is just the most lovely, unctuous, dark lager you will ever put in your mouth. And so we're kind of toying with being able to put both out, so you could have a light or a heavy. But this one is a dark light beer, so it's the oxymoron beer.
I love it. I want to say hi to a bunch of folks. We've had a lot of people that have come to join us. Visual Hops, Philip Day, Ray LaPlante, Bullies and Brews, Beer Travel Adventures. That's Liam. Hello. Sparky Flower, Beery Manilow. I like that one. Oh, yeah. RG
Fred,
Travis
Bill,
828.
hello. You guys alive?
RG Travis 8. RG Travis 828 says, "Hi, Galen and Todd. Hope to see you again soon." That's Rebecca Travis who says hi. Your abstract assistant, your friend Ian Goring, a Reinheitsger robot, which is awesome. Your friends across the river at Earth Eagle and Unibrew and Fermentary have all joined as well.
Awesome.
So,
welcome.
Yeah, that's great. Welcome,
all right,
friends.
well, should we let out the secret? What was that beer?
I see it right there. I see it right there. You see it?
IPA. Somebody got
That's correct. That's correct.
Excellent.
Kate Fleffner, correct. Valentine IPA was the beer that inspired you when you were on that boat, and that's the concept that you brought to Harpoon.
Yeah. Well, the coolest thing was that I thought I knew hops a little bit, but Valentine IPA, I wasn't drinking a lot of Sierra at the time, and so I probably should have been. But sure enough. Sure
Valentine
enough.
was there.
Yeah.
Do you have 5 more minutes or so to spend with us?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you a little bit about when you realized that the current crisis was going to affect your business model, and what were some of your early steps to make changes, and then we want to obviously talk about the curbside to go program you have now.
We knew things were going to change dramatically and drastically, and as soon as the kind of shelter-in-place order went out, it was like, okay, guys, we got to let the staff go so that they could collect unemployment. But then we have our taproom staff, and then Galen is staying on. Ian and Wood and myself are staying on, and we have been distancing. Shari, our lovely Shari, has made these beautiful masks for us. So we've got
those
masks
are nice.
that when we're working together, we're wearing our masks. We also have protective glassware, eyewear, gloves, all of the above that you really need to be protective of yourself, but of the community. And when everything when the shit happened, we knew we had to let the staff go. But we knew the restaurants were closing, so there goes all our draft accounts. What can we do? So we did contact Ironheart, who we can with, and said, let's set up some dates. And we had a date. It was last, about 2 weeks ago. And but we had beer that was getting pretty close to being ready. And so we just set up another canning date. And so the whole idea is, as long as we can do beer to go, and the community will reach out to us and do it, then let's keep doing it. And this community is really awesome. I absolutely love this community. They have been so helpful. They love Tributary. They love the fact that we don't have a TV on our wall. We love the fact that it's a community-based brewery, and that was always my intention. Was I wanted to be close to the people and have people come here to hang out and drink beer and tell their story as well as learn our story. And so we are so happy with our community. They have reached out. Our days are good. We're not making the money that we would normally make, but hey, we are making some money, and people are getting beer to go. So it's super easy. You call Trib. We've got a 207-703-0093.
Yep. 207-703-0093. We'll put that in the comments.
Awesome.
And and so it's curbside beer to go. It's a variety of different options you have, including some pre-filled.
We've got a ton of beers right now. We've got a pale, always. That's our flagship. But then we also we've got a porter, we've got a California Common, we've got a Mexican Amber Lager, we've got a brewed IPA, we've got a Belgian IPA, we've got an Irish Red in growlers, we've got the Tamave Leja in growlers. We've got Hellator, which is a Hellesbach, and my thoughts go out to Liar's Bench. They were going to have Bachfest, which was going to be 4th, a couple of days ago, last weekend, and they had to pull the plug on that. So all the Bachs that were out there, we saved 2 logs of our Bachfest beer for them that we are now putting into growlers. Probably a little compromised, but not too bad. It is a lager. And then what else do we have? And we've got a Braggot, which is a Scottish honey ale that is 8.4%, and it's pretty burly beer. It'll get you where you need to go.
It will work. In the current days of operations, Wednesday through Saturday, it's 12 noon until 6 p.m., so modified times. You can see online what beers are available for that particular day and place your order online. It is credit card only, so just so you know, no cash, and that's probably not a big surprise right now. And the growlers and squealers are all pre-filled, so it's not like you're waiting for them to fill those.
Right.
They'll let you know what they have available in those pre-filled growlers, which is great.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
And if you've got, if you've got Trib empty growlers, bring them back, and that will be an exchange. We don't take other people's growlers. It's just the state law right now, which is silly, but that's another thing. Heather Sanborn, are you out there?
We haven't got that one waived yet, have we?
Not yet.
Not yet. So let's just talk about a little bit about the business impact, and then we'll answer some questions here. So the business impact, as you said, you had accounts that you were selling to restaurants and bars, so that on-premise draft just dried up literally overnight. You were able to make that switch into cans and can more. You're able to switch the Mott the Lesser to be more in bottles. If you didn't catch that earlier, it's 2,200 bottles, an increase of 700 or 800 more than normally available.
600,
and
600 more.
600 more. Yeah. Math wasn't not my strength.
And then never mind forte.
What other operational changes have you made? Are you actually? You said earlier
we're making lager beers now.
Okay.
We've made the last of our ales. We will continue to make pale ale because we're going to put that in can. If we do anything, we'll do that. But we're not going to do any IPAs. They just degrade. You want to drink those as fresh as possible. So we're not going to do any IPAs right now. We had a double IPA ready to put into fermentation. We bailed on that. We've got some more Pilsner malt. So we did a Helles, and now we're brewing a German-style Pils on Tuesday, and then another batch of pale ale. But our tanks are kind of empty.
Yeah.
We're thinking about what other beers we can do. We got another Mott the Lesser in pretty soon because that does take 5 months to make, and hopefully in 5 months' time this will pass.
And if you missed it earlier, they have a beer called Shelter in Place Ale, which is in Shelter IPA, if you do the acronym there. And did you tell when that might be available?
That'll be Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, you did say that. So.
Yep.
We're under a week.
Yes.
We're under a week.
I think it is. Or something like that.
Yeah,
16?
Sounds 16. Sounds correct.
Yeah.
Say hi to a few more people. Beer from here, ATL. They run brewery tours in Atlanta. We want to say hi to those folks, friends of mine down there. CBC Newton, craft beer cellar in Newton, Massachusetts. Anthony Figlioli, hello. Bill Jr. 1980 says thanks, guys. Cheers. D. Richmond, Ryan Lashin, all part of this broadcast. So. Let's finish on a high note. We're here with Tod Mott of Tributary Brewing Company in Kittery. There's a lot that he's done, but there's more that he's got planned to do. But I want to make sure, and you've mentioned Woody a couple times. Woody is your son, who is brewing with you there. So how are you guys doing as a family, both as a business family and
we
as
fight like
real
cats
family?
and dogs.
It's the beer, Todd.
It's so awesome. I've got Ian, who is a lot younger than I am, but older than Woody, and then I've got Woody, who is young. He's 28. That's not young, but it's been incredible. Having Ian and Woody to kind of bang thoughts off of, listen to their thoughts. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How can we make this better? That's what it all comes down to. Is how do we make it better? And so now we're Woody's taking the American Brewers Guild course. So he and Ian are going to run this place, in just a couple of months. And I'm going to just sit around and drink beer and eat bonbons because that's what I can do. I'm good at that.
That's the plan, huh?
Absolutely.
I like it.
Absolutely.
I like it.
No, it's really great. It's really great having this team. They're young. They're energetic. They do all the work. I, again, sit around and eat bonbons.
I don't think that's true, but it sounds like you're rolling with the punches and dealing with whatever comes your way and making good choices for the business as well. So
we have to, and that's the most important thing about this industry. It is one of the most amazing industries. There is huge competition, but there's huge camaraderie. And if you need a question answered, it can be answered. And all you have to do is reach out to the Brewers Association forum or just call. Hey, Tom Bull, tell me about your lagering process. And it's just incredible. So I feel we're going to get through this. Of course, we're going to get through this. But I think the brewing industry will really survive. And we'll see where this leads to.
Okay. I've got two questions that I think are probably burning questions. They are, at least for me. The first question is, why does your first name only have one D, and does it bother you when people misspell it?
Good question. And I want to throw this one out there because it's a salute to my great-grandfather, whose name was Theodore Oliver Dale. T-O-D.
Wow.
My mother and father wanted to call me Theodore Oliver Dale, but instead of calling me Ted or Teddy, and my good friends all call me Teddy or Ted, and so they decided that T-O-D was really cool. So
That's
I am
that's a
TOD and not
that's a good one.
double D. And whenever I meet another Todd, I go, "He was single or a double D?" And they're like,
right.
"What?"
My beer boobs, right? Or is that what we're talking about?
Do I look like a double D to you?
The other question is, you and I were at the same table at one of Chris Lively's very first beer dinners in August. We were up there. That's the first time I met Woody, which was kind of cool. And at that table, I think you had said, this is obviously pre-Tributary, you had said that Kate the Great wasn't the best beer you had ever made. So I'd like to revisit that question. And do you feel that way? Do you feel any different? Like, what is the best beer that you've ever made?
Oh, I don't know if I've met it yet.
I love that answer.
You know, Kate was beautiful. Mott is like, this batch of Mott is dynamic. It's so good. It's so fruity, but it changes every iteration. It changes. And so my thought is, my best beer is still in me. You know, I love our pale ale, but I'm going to tweak that. And I'm going to, you know, the coolest thing about Trib is that, you know, we're not making all IPAs, and we're not making all lagers. We're making a really amazing variety of beer. Like, our beer list right now is pretty spectacular. And, yeah, you know, you go to any beer bar, and I'd be willing to bet you they've got more IPAs than the variety of beer that we've got on. And I'm not dissing anybody or any of that shit.
No.
But more than likely, our beer selection, because we only have one flagship, and then everything, all the other 7 beers change constantly, it's enabling to Ian and Woody to do their creative juices as well as me. So we're constantly evolving. And, I mean, you can't stagnate. And,
you described yourself as this.
I'll tell you what I won't do. I won't make a seltzer. I'm just not going to do that. It's just not, it doesn't make sense to me. You're either a beer drinker or you're not. And that little nebulous zone in between, fine. Be that. Don't make me mad. But I don't want to, I really do not want to make a seltzer. You know, there are beautiful alternatives. The kombuchas, oh my God. If you're gluten intolerant, there's some really great gluten intolerant availables with alcohol.
Yeah.
Woody, one of Woody's oldest friends, Sam and Luke Walker, are they're brothers, and they live down in Nashville, and they're working on a kombucha recipe, high ethanol kombucha, and this is Luke. This Luke Walker is one of the coolest little kids I've ever met. And of course, I call him a little kid. He's 26. You know, he's not 28. He's 20. He's a little kid. He's been working on this kombucha recipe. We tasted them. We went down to CBC a couple of years ago down in Nashville. Oh my God, I was blown away. They were so good, and they had 6 to 8% alcohol in them. I was like, holy crap! Wait a minute, isn't kombucha a restorative? It's like, wait a minute, this is like antithesis, right? You got kombucha restorative, and then you got alcohol that brings you back down. So, you know, but
So
my praise to people that are making alternative gluten-frees, but seltzer water with spike in it.
Your heart is in beer. You've described yourself as a style brewer. You can also see that the majority of the beers that they make are Tributary blank style, like Tributary Pale Ale.
We don't need those stinking names.
No fancy names, no unicorns and crush puppies and so forth here.
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles, exactly. All right, so a couple of other things, and I'm going to give you the last minute, Todd, but a couple other things. We want to say hi to Big House Brewing.
Sam Walker.
That's it. Sam, who's a craft beer enthusiast and home brewer, lives in the heart of New England. Barry Franklin, Barry Abides. Carrie Eiding, who says, follow me as I discover new beers, booze, and food. Sounds good. That's Karen_Eiding, EIDING. The Real Good Boy joined, as did Maine Chef Sam Walker. A bunch of people right here at the very end. McMurfinstein, McNally, 67. People that love you. You've been watching a virtual tour with the one and only Todd Mott of Tributary Brewing Company in Kittery, Maine. You can find more about them at tributarybrewingcompany.com. Call ahead, pay ahead for curbside beer to go, Wednesday through Saturday, 12 noon to 6 p.m. If you've enjoyed this conversation with Todd, you can help support the Maine Brew Bus with a virtual tip and on our website, www.themainbrewbus.com. You'll see virtual brewery tours, and you can actually throw a tip in our tip bucket if you enjoyed this. It's never expected, but always appreciated. In the lieu, instead of a tip, if you'd rather buy a gift card, which is just as good as cash, it helps us as well, and you can enjoy a discount on a tour later on. You can also give it away, and you can even give it to healthcare workers or firefighters, or first responders, I should say, that are dealing with this day in, day out. But the gift card purchases helps us to keep going, and also we want to do more of these tours. So if you're the owner of a brewery, winery, distillery, or other affiliated and affected business here in Maine, let us know. Go to our website and the virtual tours page. There's a form you can fill out saying what day and time you might be available. Finally, Maine Publishing Corp. Tom Blaze joined us. Thanks for doing that. And finally, it's time for you to give us the pitch. Why should people come to and support Tributary Brewing?
Because we make great beer. Simple as that. We
That's
love
it.
our community. We love drinking beer. We love you to drink beer. So drink beer, drink more beer, drink wisely, be safe. Cheers, Don. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Todd. I appreciate this time. And appreciate all of you who have been watching. Stay healthy, stay well, and drink local. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers.
Thanks, Todd.